Billionaire investor Warren Buffett and his company Berkshire Hathaway sold out of all of their airline holdings. Does this mean that you should as well? I'll let you know all that and more coming up. Yes, that's right, guys. So Warren Buffett and Berkshire Hathaway have completely sold out of all of their airline holdings. They're done with them. No more airlines for Berkshire Hathaway. So does that mean that you should be taking the same path as Warren Buffett and Berkshire Hathaway? Well, I'm going to give you my thoughts and opinions on that in just a second. But first, I want to welcome you to my channel. Hi, my name is Brad, and this is Own the Chaos. The stock market is a crazy and chaotic place, and I've made it my mission to help you own it. So if you want to see more content on investing and day trading in the stock market, I encourage you to hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell to get notified every time I put up a video. And if you get value out of today's content, I certainly would appreciate a good old thumbs up. And one last thing before I get on to today's topic, I just wanted to invite you guys over to the Chaos Crew. So if you have yet to have checked that out, click the join button on my channel. And what you will get is a daily watch list from me where I give you a handful of stocks every single day before the market opens for you guys to take a look at and see if you find value in those. It's a pretty inexpensive way to just get a good glimpse of the market and where it might be headed for $4.99 a month. I think it's incredible value. So if you guys want to check that out, I'd be happy to have you as a part of the Chaos Crew. Own the Chaos. It is living up to its name right now, right? The stock market has been crazy and chaotic for the last several months now, and this week is no exception to that either. And Warren Buffett confirmed to the public that he sold out of every single one of their airline stocks. Now, this included American Airlines, Delta, United Continental, and Southwest. After this announcement today, they all dropped up to 12% or more on this announcement. And after he confirmed that he sold out, he went on to say that they were not disappointed at all in the businesses that were being run and the management, but we did come to a different opinion on it. I don't really know what that means, a different opinion on the direction of the industry. I'm assuming that's what it was. Maybe the CEOs obviously are going to, root for their own company, but I'm not quite sure what exactly that meant, but it is what it is. At the end of the day, they still sold out of them. He also goes on to say that if the airline business does come back at 70 or 80%, there will still likely be too many planes and oversupply of airline seats. Now, I would agree with that statement. I would say that there's probably going to be a surplus of airline seats, but I think that also, would potentially increase demand once people are allowed back out of their homes. So we'll see where that goes. And I want to kind of give my own perspective as to why I think Warren Buffett sold out of these companies. Going into it, before 2016, when he first bought into the airline stocks, he was not a fan of them at all. So it's no surprise to me that, these were the first to go out of Warren Buffett's portfolio, because I don't think he was the biggest fan of the airline industry as a whole, despite what he says about how they were run or how the management ran those companies. But here's the other thing, and I'll just use Delta as the key example here when it came to him investing in these airline stocks, is that Delta, at the peak of their position size, Delta had an average cost price of around $46 a share, and they owned over 11% stake in Delta stock alone. And so before we get on to the rest of today's video, I just want to invite you over to my daily mentorship. I go live with folks every single day from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern time in my mentorship, and I'm with them throughout the entire day via a private Discord chat, and it's a great community to be a part of. It's not a follow the leader type of thing or copy all of my trades, but it actually teaches you how to trade and make decisions for yourself. So if you're interested in checking something like that out, I'm offering a free 30 days for you to come check it out at no risk or cost to you. So the promo code is going to be Delta today. So if you want to go click the links down in the description below and click Delta at checkout, you'll receive your free 30 days of mentorship. It's a great community to be a part of, and I would be happy to have you there. Now, Warren expects about a 4-year recovery for the airline industry, and I don't know. We'll see if that actually happens or it doesn't, but I think that perhaps maybe his time horizon, especially if it's going to take 4 years for him to recoup the money back that he lost and just actually break even, it kind of makes a lot of sense as to why he would sell out at that point. But I talked about this at the end of February when he started to increase his positions on these airline stocks, and I felt that was just too much too soon. And I don't know what the reasoning was, and he even admitted that it was a mistake. But I it's probably just that they don't want to wait around 4 years just to finally break even. Currently, Berkshire Hathaway is sitting on about $137 billion in cash, ready to buy up a bunch of stocks. And so I think that they're thinking that if they use that money for other investments that could yield higher returns, that maybe that is going to be a better use of their money than just sitting around and waiting for the possibility of just being able to break even on those investments. So if it's not good enough for Warren Buffett, does that mean it's also not good enough for you? And in my opinion, I would say no, especially if you have yet to have bought into any of these airline stocks. If you have bought when Warren Buffett had bought them, then perhaps you might be singing a different tune, or your approach might be a little bit different. But I'm speaking more to the people who have not bought into airline stocks. I think that this is going to be a really good opportunity, and also requires a lot of patience as well. In my opinion, if you look at companies like Delta and Southwest, who probably have the best balance sheets out of anybody in the competitive space, I would venture to say that anything at this price range that they're at right now, respectively, Delta is at around $21 a share, and Southwest, as of this recording, is sitting around $27 a share. I think that these are some really cheap stocks that if you were looking for a long-term investment, that you could sit into something for about a year or two, or maybe even 3 or longer, that your yield on this would be pretty darn good. But again, if you are in Warren's shoes, where you bought, back in 2016, and you've been sitting in these for a while, and now you have experienced over 50% losses on your investment as far as the airlines are concerned, you may be asking yourself, is it worth it to me to be holding on for dear life for the next 4 or 5 years just to break even? Or do I want to use this money to then put it in something else that could actually yield a better return in a shorter period of time? And I would say that that's really a toss-up, in my opinion. There's no guarantee that you're going to be able to sell for a 50% loss and then take it somewhere else to make more money on, unless you're in Berkshire Hathaway shoes, where you have a pile of cash sitting around to make up for those losses somewhere else. I just don't see where it makes a whole lot of sense. And so here's my final take on this. Yes, I do believe the airline industry does have a long road ahead of them. But if you're a millennial like myself, or younger, or even if you're in your 40s or early 50s, I would say that you still have plenty of time to look at something like the airline stocks and see that there's potential here for some growth. I mean, they've come down quite a bit, and there's definitely room for them to continue to come down. But I would say that, if you can endure the weather the storm, so to speak, or endure the turbulent weather ahead, whatever you want to call it, whatever pun you want to throw in there, I think that it's definitely worth taking a look at and asking yourself if the risk here is worth the reward. And in my opinion, I think that risk versus reward is definitely there. For those of you with time on your side, I would definitely be looking into something like this. If there's anything that I would consider that is quote unquote speculative, it would be something like the airlines to get into versus like your Carnival Cruise Line or something like that. At the end of the day, air travel isn't going anywhere. Once people are allowed back out, people will be getting back on planes. Things might be a little bit different as far as how you prepare yourself for getting on the plane. There might be more masks might be worn or what have you, but people aren't going to stop traveling just because of what we're experiencing in the world right now. I think that they're going to get back on planes. I love the travel. I know there's a lot of people that got a lot of cabin fever. Just watch the demand come back. I think it will. And there's the argument on the other side, especially with business, right, where telecommunications are really starting to come into their own, especially and it's been especially exacerbated because of what we've been experiencing with the Rona. And I do agree with that to a certain extent. I think that teleconferencing has definitely made its mark in this space, but I would also argue that there's something to be said for having in-person meetings. And I think that, air travel for businesses are still going to be there, but maybe not quite as much as they were before. So the airline industry will be back. It's just a matter of when, not if. And the when is the big question. And so that is why I ask you to consider your own time horizons and think about how long you're willing to wait this out to see a pretty significant return. But that's going to do it for me as far as my opinion is concerned. And now I want to hear from you. What do you guys think about Warren Buffett selling his airline stocks? Does it make a lot of sense, or are you scratching your head kind of along with me? I'm honestly a little bit surprised about this move, about him getting rid of them completely. I don't know. When you look at something like GM, in which he's got 75 million shares of, it really makes me scratch my head. If GM can get a bailout and it's okay for you to buy them, then why not stay with the airlines and be loyal to them? And it really just kind of came as a little bit of a shock to me for him to just liquidate all of the assets in the airline stocks, especially as much as he had in Delta. That's a little bit of a shock. But nevertheless, let me hear from you guys. What are your thoughts? Are you buying here, or are you completely out as well? Are you just staying away from the airline industry, period? What are your thoughts on this issue? I certainly would love to hear from you, as I reply to every single one of the comments, and would love to engage with you that way. And so that's going to do it for me today, guys. If you got value out of today's video, I certainly would appreciate a thumbs up. And if you have not yet subscribed, hopefully I earned your subscription today as well. And as always, folks, I will see you all before the bell, and B Smith is out. What's going on, guys? Yet another crazy Friday in the stock market. Unbelievable. How is this going to impact Tesla stock price? And should you be worried if you're a Tesla investor?